Posted by you/unlikely_cap_713. I, 37F, have 2 siblings, 43M and 29F. Our father died when we were young due to an undiagnosed heart problem. His parents had gifted them an old family homestead on a lot of land at their wedding and helped a lot to keep our family afloat before they passed. Our mother finally found her footing after about 5 years of deep depression and did well for our family, but she was also very frugal. We had good clothing but no fancy vacations. Our mother had ignored signs of poor health for years, even when we tried to get her to see someone about it. She passed away recently due to late-stage cancer, leaving us with a lot. My siblings each received more than $150,000 in money, along with sentimental but expensive items and furniture. I did not receive any money. I was given the house, the land, and some items. The house and land, which had been sold off bit by bit over the years due to Mom's declining health and her inability to properly tend to it, are worth far less than the $150,000 my siblings received. I had moved in with my mother near the end of her life, and it was only supposed to be temporary, as I believed the house would be sold after her passing and the money split 3 ways. I had already made plans to move in with a friend and her family after Mom's death to make that process go more smoothly. Most of my belongings had been sitting in storage for almost a year. As the only one who worked from home, I was able to monitor the home health workers and nurses to ensure they were being kind, doing their jobs, and not stealing. Mostly, it was to make sure they treated my mother with respect and kindness, though my brother did worry about someone walking off with her wedding ring since she was so attached to it. We all agreed to have it placed with her ashes. So, I set up a little system and took care of her. My siblings came by frequently, 3 to 6 times a week, each of them. My brother has 2 kids, and my sister only has 1, but they visited as well, though not as much near the end because it was hard for them. In the weeks leading up to her death, my mother had me pack up the items meant for each of my siblings into large boxes and set them aside. My siblings didn't like me doing this, but they understood it was what she wanted. After the will was read, they checked their boxes to ensure my mom hadn't missed anything when instructing me to pack, and then they left me to my house. Weeks passed, and I finally felt ready to start working on the house. Now, as I mentioned, the house was dingy. It's not worth $150,000, but with the crazy housing market, I thought it was a bit of luck. It needs repairs. The roof, chimney, water heater, some pipes, doors and windows for better heating, and everything inside is so darkly painted or made of wood that it just sucks out all the light. I immediately had people check the roof, chimney, and water heater. My siblings offered to lend me the money, but I declined as I had been saving for a while to buy an apartment or something small since it's only me. I could also rent rooms to local college students to recoup some of that money. I picked out paints for different rooms but decided to leave the wood flooring. As I started going through everything in the house, which had specifically been left to me as stated in the will, I began finding things. Money in books, and there are so many books. Money taped under beds, money folded into the fancy sheets, money hidden in the teapot and cups that had been passed down in the family, which we had never been allowed to touch for fear we might break them. I also found jewelry in various places, hidden in the attic, the vents, and sock drawers. Some of it was so gaudy that I thought it had to be costume jewelry, but I put it all together. Thank goodness I did, and took it to be appraised. The jewelry's value is nearly half of what my siblings received, and even the costume-like pieces are worth something. Even now, I'm still finding things. I found antique items, fancy watches, untouched clothing and bags with price tags still on them, and belts and shoes still in their boxes. All of this was tucked away, seemingly hidden, and never mentioned. Some of the clothing still had receipts, and since neither my sister nor I could wear them, I took them back to see if I could get refunds or started selling them online, since, again, everything left in the house was specifically left to me. I used the cash to help pay for the immediate repairs, and it almost covered the entire cost. I went through the jewelry and kept what I liked, which was very little since I'm not into that sort of thing, and set aside some for my sister and my brother's daughter. I liquidated the rest and put that money into savings. I also set aside some of the bags, belts, and watches for my siblings and their families. While we can't fit the clothes, those items are easier to pass around. I invited everyone over and gave them the items, telling them I had found them while cleaning everything out and thought they might like to have them. Everyone was happy to receive them, and there wasn't much bickering among the kids. They asked what else I had found, and I explained about the jewelry I kept and the clothing I was selling. My brother got a weird look on his face and asked if I had found any money. I told him I had but tried to downplay it as mostly change and loose bills. He asked to see the money, so I grabbed a giant water refill container where I had started storing all the coins. He told me that was a lot of coins and asked if I was going to use them for the laundromat since I left them all loose. I rolled my eyes because I have a washer and dryer set. I told him there was no point in cashing them in until I cleaned the whole house. He told me to let them know so we could all split that and the money I got from selling the clothing. When I asked why, he said, so we can split it. I asked him why I would split it when they all had gotten large cash inheritances, sentimental and expensive things, and other items. I literally got the house, the problems, the cleanup, and the nice things I did find that I thought they might like, which I handed over without being asked to. He told me I didn't have to be a greedy prick about it and to never mind. My sister gave me the side eye but didn't say anything. However, I feel guilty for misleading them about how much I had actually found, even though it was all put toward making the house better. To be clear, all of my mother's debts were paid, and she had money set aside for the funeral service and cremation. So, was I wrong here? Update 4 days later. Firstly, I wanted to thank everyone for their kind words and bits of advice. I felt much better after reading so many of the comments. I also took to heart the shut your mouth comments, even if a few of them seemed a little rude. On to the update. My house, still feels weird saying this, already had outside cameras from when I moved in and installed them. However, I did go ahead and add more to the property line, inside the house in key spots, and around the garage. I also put up no trespassing signs while I look through companies that install proper fences. The property is just small enough that I can afford the fence. I changed the locks as soon as I read the advice to do so. I hadn't thought about that, since I work from home. Mom also kept a spare hidden in a plant because my sister used to lose everything constantly, so I made sure to remove it and not replace it with a new one. It's a good thing I did all of this because 2 days after my initial post, I had to run into town for groceries and a few quick errands. I live on the outskirts, with neighbors a bit of a distance away, so they wouldn't notice anyone stopping by. I got a notification on my phone about movement, and I checked it because I wasn't expecting any packages. My brother was getting out of his car, looked around, and checked the windows. He tried his key in the door and got upset when it didn't work. He then checked the flower plant and kicked it over. The cameras around the house let me communicate, so I just said, "That was rude," into the speaker. He jumped and spun around to see nothing. I asked him what he wanted, and he demanded to know why I put up cameras. I said, "Because I'm a single woman living in the woods, you idiot." He shifted from foot to foot before saying he would be back so we could talk, and then he left. I sent the video evidence of him trying to get in while I wasn't home to him, his wife, my sister, and her fiancé. In the message, I explained, I changed the locks because I don't know who Mom gave keys to, like her friends, and I have cameras. Because of this attempt to get in while I wasn't home, no one will be getting the new key. I don't just randomly try to get into your house when you're not home. He sent me a lot of nasty texts after that, trying to shame me for what I did. I told him he shouldn't be doing things he doesn't want others to know about, and that it's a reflection on him, not me. He called me a bitch and then blocked me. My sister thinks I went too far by telling his wife, as she's now threatening to take the kids to her mom's. She also thinks I went too far by showing her fiancé because now he doesn't want my brother to have keys to their place for emergencies. Somehow, I get the feeling this isn't over yet. I think I'm going to look into adopting a large dog. Second update 3 days later. For the sake of the post, I will call my brother Mason and my sister Brittany. Firstly, thank you to everyone who made new comments and gave more advice. I particularly enjoyed the entire mini thread about guard geese, such an amazing and cute idea. Unfortunately, I have a terrible fear of birds, so I am adopting a bonded pair of dogs from my local shelter instead. Once my name clears from the cruel to animals list of these gross people aren't allowed to adopt, I can take them home. I really wasn't planning on making another post. If I did, it would be when all of this is finally over. I did start a paper trail with both the police and a lawyer, Lawrence, who is a family friend. I documented the attempted break-in, didn't press charges but had them speak with Mason, and put him on notice. He ended up getting new phone numbers, yes, multiple, to contact me and berate me for sicking those pigs on him. I took all those messages to Lawrence and sent out a few things, a cease and desist for the alarming number of calls, texts, social media DMs, and emails he sent me. Some were full of rage about how I took his kids from him, and others were about how he knew I was a rat bitch. Anyway, Brittany asked me out for coffee and apologized for taking Mason's side. She explained that she didn't want the friction and thought the three of us could have worked it out together instead of involving others. She and her fiancé have an understanding that he handles his family and she handles hers, especially for disputes and similar issues. So, by sending it to him before she had a chance to react, it felt like I was overstepping because I didn't give her the chance to do anything before her fiancé started losing his mind. I did apologize because I hadn't thought of it that way. I asked her what she would have done if I had just sent her the video, and she said she would have sat on it for a day to think about it, then probably would have asked me for more information or talked to him to see what the hell he was thinking. She also said I was a freaking moron for telling everyone the gifts I gave had come from the house. I should have said they were from a bonus at work or something. I have no reason to fully trust her, but what she said makes sense. So, I'm going to cautiously keep in mind that she has a harder time expressing her thoughts and emotions in a normal way. Our parents weren't into the whole test your child for XYZ approach, so she has been struggling with the idea of being tested for certain neurodivergent tendencies. All that said, I found something really weird, and I don't want to open it. In the basement, tucked far into a corner and buried behind a bookshelf and under boxes and boxes of things, is an ancient-looking freezer. It was, and still is, plugged in. It's running. It was buried and dusty in a way that makes me certain there's no edible food inside. One of my friends joked that it was my grandfather's game box, and it has decades-old deer inside. It's freaking creepy, so I'm going to get some backup on this and report back later. Third update 1 day later. I wanted to thank everyone for the words of advice and ideas on how to go about finding out what's in the freezer. I also have a mini update on Mason. I'll get the freezer part out of the way first since I know many are eager to hear about it. I called over my lawyer friend, Lawrence, and explained that I needed more information on a few things but would need a house call because of the contractors coming and going. When he arrived and saw no one else there, he looked annoyed, until I explained about the freezer. He joked that if we found a body, he was bailing, but he was laughing as we headed down to the basement. This all happened yesterday. We put on gloves and masks. Lawrence held the camera and said all the identifying details like the date, time, address, etc. I opened the freezer. Inside were important documents sealed in layers of plastic. There were also old jars of moonshine, frozen pressed flowers and a book with dates, some cash, coins, specifically, and an ancient-looking porcelain doll. The documents were birth and death certificates going back quite a while. It looks like I would have had another sibling if they had lived, along with 3 more aunts, and a few other even older relatives. We figured the flowers were from funerals or services, considering the dates attached to the pages where the flowers were pressed. The jars of moonshine looked old. The only reason I knew it was moonshine was thanks to Lawrence. He said alcohol doesn't usually freeze, and when he opened it, he could tell based on the smell. The coins will be appraised soon, as I'm also still going through all the other coins I've found in the curtains and other odd places. A big thank you to the Redditor who told me to check the curtains. As for the doll, it looks very old but in good condition. It was in a box, wrapped in cloth, old newspapers, and more. Lawrence thinks the hair on its head is real and human, as it definitely doesn't seem synthetic. After it thawed, I had to dry it off, and there's a name smudged on its foot. Right now, it's sitting on my living room coffee table, and I'm not sure what to do with it. The newspaper dates give us a vague idea of when it was put away, and it's definitely old. On to Mason. His wife has filed for divorce and is going for full custody. She has the kids with her at her mother's. She reached out to me and explained that Mason had told her the only thing left was the house, and it was willed to all 3 of us. He claimed he was just waiting for me to buy out his part of the house. But when I sent that message, something didn't seem right to her, so she started to dig. Mason maxed out all their credit cards, put the house on a reverse mortgage, even though it had been paid off, and opened a few accounts in his wife's name. He didn't use the life-changing money left to him to pay off any of that debt. She's unsure where the money went, but when she locked down her credit, it prevented him from using the cards he had taken out in her name, which sparked a massive fight. I can't even begin to imagine where the money has gone. He doesn't have new cars, new devices, nothing that would show for it. Their 2 kids, 14F and 10M, are both old enough to understand what is going on. They won't talk to him until he tells them why they are losing their childhood home, why he hurt their mom, and where all the money is. My niece knows all the accounts are empty, including her college account, and she is furious. My nephew isn't as worried about college, understandably. Mason keeps messaging me about how it's all your fault and just overall being nasty. I would have blocked him if it weren't for the fact that we are collecting evidence. My sister admitted he is ranting to her about it all, but she doesn't want to upset him because they live just a few blocks away from each other, so it's easier for him to come knocking on her door. Despite that, she will not be staying with me. My fence should be starting to be built any day now. I will be getting my 2 doggos tomorrow. I think I have everything I need. So, that is everything so far. Fourth update 1 week later. Hello everyone, I'm sorry it's been a while since I updated. Between the fence, the new dogs, one is a pitty, and the other is a German Shepherd, and problems with Mason, I just haven't had time to update. First, thank you everyone for your wonderful insight and ideas. I did pass along to my soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law the suggestion of checking her children's credit. I checked mine as well. The kids have smaller issues with their credit now, thanks to Mason. She locked down their credit, and I sent Lawrence, my lawyer, to speak with her. He set her on a path to wreck Mason with one of his lawyer friends who specializes in this sort of thing. My credit was not affected, but I have locked it down, and I warned my sister to do the same, though I haven't heard back yet. To clear a few things up quickly, when my sister-in-law told me they were underwater on the house, I had interpreted that as a reverse mortgage because there was a big celebration years ago about them finally paying it off. When my sister-in-law locked down her credit, she jumped through hoops and got several credit cards, one she did not open, shut down. I don't know the specific details, but it was done very quickly. Yes, there were several. So, I apologize for the confusion. I wanted to keep things short. I won't be able to do much in terms of trust funds for my nibblings, unfortunately, but I am the trustee or overseer of the ones my mother set up for them. I'm debating heavily on whether to tell them or my sister-in-law because word might get back to Mason. I fronted 3 months' worth of rent for my sister-in-law so she could get her own place, ensuring the courts have no reason to look at her with suspicion. Mason is going to lose the house soon, and I don't want to risk her custody in any way. Another reason I did that was so she and the kids could get to a place he didn't know about. All contact is now through lawyers. Mason went to her mother's house while they were all out at a school function and destroyed the place. They are still trying to figure out if anything was taken. Furniture, pictures, and decorations were smashed, clothing, including his own kids, was shredded, and he threw mud all around the house. He popped the tires on my sister-in-law's car and threatened the neighbors. The neighbors called the cops, and there was a problem during the arrest, which resulted in both him and one of the officers being sent to the ER for stitches. How he managed to get bail money, I don't know, but I suspect he bullied our sister Brittany into helping, as she's been radio silent during all of this. I think he may be staying with her. The house is going to be taken any day now, and my sister-in-law is fighting to keep her car. That's what my sister-in-law told me. Mason has been non-stop messaging and calling me. He even started a smear campaign on social media, getting our extended family to tear into me for not supporting a grieving man who just lost his mother, his wife, his kids, his house, and his dignity. When I spoke with them, it quickly became apparent that he had circulated one hell of a bogus story, painting me as the wicked sister who stole everything from him, which is supposedly why I could afford all the work on the house. According to him, I have an illicit substance problem and drained all his resources for said substances, rehab, and more. All of it is complete BS. Even after talking with them, not many believe me. My fence is being built, and work around the house is still ongoing. I added a home security system and a few hidden baseball bats because some of the DMs I received about what he could do scared me. I also added extra locks around the house and am considering either getting rid of the sliding glass door or installing something like a gate to secure it. Lawrence warned me that taking too many precautions going forward might harm my case for a restraining order and slander, so I may not update for a while unless something major happens. Commenter. That much money missing and going off the rails? Considering that was the lie he told the family about her, it sounds like projection. Mason has been building this up for months, if not years, and was trying to hide everything long enough to bail himself out with his inheritance, whether through gambling, day trading, or illicit substances. His deception unraveled in just 3 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if the $150,000 wasn't enough to pay everything off and that he lost at gambling or through zero-day option trading, trying to double it. He even tore through the mother-in-law's house, hoping she had hidden money and valuables. Given that she's possibly of a similar age and social financial standing, and since people with means usually marry the same, it makes sense. Not finding what he needed, he threw a tantrum with the mud.